Hello, what have we got here?
Stephen Fry from QI has been educating and entertaining us since his early days at Cambridge, where he met his comedy partner, Hugh Laurie.
Oh, hi, Bradley. I just looked in to see if I couldn't have a borrow of your garden sprinkling.
Oh, sure, mate. Help yourself. It's over there in the coolie.
From Fry and Laurie to The Young Ones and Blackadder, his television credits are as long as his vocab.
Make a note of the word gobbledygook. I like it. I want to use it more often in conversation.
Don't let the posh accent fool you. This proper English gent loves the swear word as much as the next bloke.
I love swearing, and I, like you, think swearing is important. This interview is not live, so we can beep whatever you say. I would love to know your favourite swear words.
Well, I think a lot of it's about crunch and rhythm, and of course Shakespeare is the go-to man for crunch and rhythm. I mean, there's a wonderful phrase he uses that I've often used, which is "you bastard son of a mongrel bitch." Because it just has the rhythm of it. It's not that the words are particularly unusable and wicked. It's just when they go together, bastard son of a mongrel bitch. I like joining swear words with unusual words. So if I stub my toe, I'll shout bastard or something like that. That you will be bleeping out. It's just strange. One word next to another.
I'm just picturing having it on a sausage with bread.
No, it's weird, but I just like that. I like a good English word like mustard next to a good English word like the steam word. Australians, of course, have been genius at epithets and words for, different words for peeing or vomiting. I mean, a lot of them come from Barry Humphries, of course, in his Barry Mackenzie days with chunder and things like that, and, pointing Percy at the porcelain and that kind of stuff. It's very Australian, that. And we all admire your ability to do that. All that kind of, I wouldn't piss up his ass if his kidneys were on fire. That kind of thing, is very pleasing to us.
Stephen and his potty mouth
Language.
have achieved a lot over the course of his career, including an Emmy win for his documentary on mental health.
I was bipolar. I'd never heard the word before, but for the first time, at the age of 37, I had a diagnosis that explained the massive highs and miserable lows I've lived with all my life.
But Mr. Fry is more than just the sum of his credits. He's a goddamn national treasure, an international treasure. And he really, really loves Greek mythology.
The Acropolis, where the Parthenon is.
His latest book is a retelling of the famous tale of the Siege of Troy.
Have you written a book about the Brad Pitt film?
With Orlando Bloom in a skirt, you mean?
Yes.
Well, do you know, the fact is the Troy story is one that's going to be retold time and time again, just as it has been over the last 2,000 years and 3,000 years. In fact, it will be retold in the next. But what's interesting is that they don't involve the gods at all. It's a purely human battle, but it is hard not to come away just with that image of Orlando Bloom in a skirt. The most important thing for me was to take it out of the schoolroom. The stories are, in a sense, folk stories. They belong to the people. They're not academic. They're not intellectual. They have such narrative juice and drive, and the characters are so endlessly fascinating, and the stories themselves are just brilliantly plotted. And I wanted a language that could be funny and so on, but not trying to be down with the kids, because that's a bit embarrassing sometimes, isn't it?
The names in these stories are fantastic. You've got the likes of Achilles, Odysseus, and then you've got the most beautiful and sought-after woman in all the land, Helen. Helen was a bit shortchanged, wasn't she?
In terms of names, yes. Mind you, her sister, Clytemnestra, that's a good name.
Oh, yeah, that makes up for it.
It sounds a bit like a venereal disease, but in fact...
When he was 17, Stephen was sent to prison for credit card fraud, and books were a huge part of the time he spent behind bars.
I didn't want to involve my parents, so I thought I would go to prison as anonymous, as a John Doe or whatever. And then I hadn't noticed that the policeman was going through all the books in my suitcase and seeing names scrawled in it. And at one point, while I was being interviewed by policeman A, policeman B came into the back of the interrogation room, said, said, Stephen Fry. And I turned around and said, yes. I thought, go! Completely fooled by it. But when inside prison, I discovered, of course, that a lot of the inmates were close to illiterate. And so I did a bit of teaching. That was a very exciting thing. And I realized, I was, 17 at this point, that if I didn't straighten myself out, my life would really go on a very bad course. So everything more or less turned out okay after that. I like to think that the best of us are a bit unstable and a bit transgressive and a bit weird and a bit Australian. There's a word to describe all of those things. It's in your DNA to be, the larrikin spirit. So, there is that part of me that will always have great sympathy for those who are, off-road and off-rail.
To say it turned out okay, I think is a fair understatement. Thank you again for joining us. It's always a pleasure to chat, and congratulations on the new book.
Nice to speak to you as well, Tommy. All the very, very best.
And Stephen Fry's book, Troy, is out now, and much like him, is bloody great.
Oh, he's such a good storyteller, isn't he?
Awesome.
Fabulous.
And only Tommy Little could make him swear for half the interview.
And then only beep out one example of it. Anyway.